Hi guys. So my Habibi Bieber, he's not doing well. He's not doing well at all. He's posting a lot of videos on his Instagram live where he just looks really out of it. He looks like he's high. He looks like he's on stuff, allegedly. His behavior just looks really, really out of it. And I feel awful for him. I think we've known for a while now. Just like people failed Britney Spears, people failed Justin Bieber. He got into this industry so young, so young. And I think now things are starting to come out that he was clearly abused and mistreated, and like people were overtly sexual with him. Um, I think Justin is around my age. I'm in my 30s. I think he's around my age. I was never really attracted to Justin Bieber. I'll be honest, there were probably like songs like I liked it like the baby. Okay, I like that song. Um, there were probably moments where he kind of annoyed me just because it was just bombardment of Justin, Justin, Justin. And now it's nothing but empathy. Now it's nothing but oh my god, my heart breaks for him because you can tell that he wasn't taken care of. And that has to be such an awful, awful feeling. An awful feeling where people have taken advantage of you. People have they didn't do what was best for you because they were more concerned with themselves. And how many adults how is he supposed to navigate adulthood when as a child he had so many adults fail him? He had so many adults that took advantage of him, that probably abused him. I mean, okay, allegedly, yeah, we don't know a lot. But even I saw this and I'm like, I really don't remember this, that Kourtney Kardashian was like hanging out with a 20-year-old Justin Bieber. I didn't see that. And now you could say, well, 20 years old is still an adult. But I would argue it's probably a little different when you've been in the industry at a very young age, because there have been some reports that say whenever you became really famous, you kind of get stuck in that age. It makes sense. That's really not normal, you know. It's really not a normal human experience. And you would have to have I think you would have to have so many people, so many adults guiding you. You would have to have like peers around you who are really, really good friends. Like you would just have to be so protected so that you understand, yes, they're reacting to you in a very strong way, and yes, you're talented, but remember that passes. What goes up comes down. And just because they're giving you all this attention now doesn't mean that that's going to last forever. You know, you would just need to be so protected, so guided. And it doesn't look like Justin was, you know. So even though he was 20 when Kourtney was like hanging out with him, he was probably emotionally he was probably a lot younger. So I'm not accusing her of being something something. I'm not calling her a name or something, but it's just like, was that really like the morally correct thing to do? You know, I think everybody jumped down Drake's throat for milling Bobby Brown, and Kourtney Kardashian should have also been ridiculed, and should have Kendrick should have came after her too. Why not? Go after her too. Go after that whole family. Go. You know, no, I'm not. But you know what I mean? Like, ugh. But yeah. How is he supposed to? How is he supposed to be a father to his young baby boy? You know, and then he married somebody whose family is also in the industry. So that probably is not helpful, because I'm sure that there's like a keeping up with the Joneses type of thing, right? Like you're putting your life out there. You have access to a certain lifestyle. You don't want to lose it. I don't know. It's just it's very sad, and I don't know if he's gonna get the help that he needs. It's just a reminder of how like gross and how empty and hollow fame can be if you don't have the proper resources and the proper protections in place, which would be love, compassion, kindness, strict guidance, There is no reason that any child should be alone with other adults who aren't the parents. You know what I mean? There should be so much supervision, and he was failed. It looks like, and it looks so sad because it looks like it's a cry for help, but I how the public is really not going to be able to help him, and that's the sad thing. And then what if everyone's like, hey, get help, if they're doing that on his Instagram live? Like, is that going to do anything for him? Like, what is he going to go into a conservatorship like Britney? Does he have anybody in his life who is actually going to get him mental health help? And then too, the other point that I want to say, it must be so empty and hollow when he's like, he lost parts of his childhood, he lost parts of his adolescence, and he's never going to get those back. For an industry that looks like it's dying, that must be so heartbreaking. That must be so heartbreaking, you know? We've seen with the Oscars, we've seen how worthless these things have become. How they've all become circle jerks, how they've abused and mistreated people, how they have this fake sense of superiority as if they're morally altruistic when they're not. And it must be awful. It must be so awful for him. He must have had thoughts like that. And it's so sad. It's so sad. I feel so bad for him. I feel so bad for Haley and the baby. But like, get some help. Y'all got money. Y'all got money. Get some really good mental health professionals. And that's the other thing too, is it's hard because I have a therapist and I love him. I had my first therapist, Wanda, an Earth Angel. Earth Angel, she helped me get the help that I needed. And she passed away. So her husband, Mo, took me on. And they could not have been just amazing people, amazing people. When Wanda first started to see me, I had to pay a copay, and they never collected the copay. And at the time, I was in a relationship. The guy I was dating, he pushed me to get therapy. He wasn't super nice about it. That was a whole mess, but I do appreciate him for helping me get the help that I needed. But he pointed out to Wanda Mo, he's like, you guys don't collect the copay, like what's going on? Like, he was very, his personality, he was not very open to therapy. And they were like, we're here to help people. That's what matters to us first. The insurance is fine. We don't, if we need to, we'll do it, but we're here to help people. That's what matters first. And that was so meaningful to me, that helped me get my life on track. And when me and Mo, we started our, like, the therapeutic relationship, right? Because it's the relationship that heals. I created a relationship with Wanda. I created a relationship with Mo. And he would kind of laugh at me. He's like, if I was some stuffy Harvard guy, this would never work. And I was like, absolutely. Because I crack jokes, I'm vulgar. I'm talking to you about my pain and the things that I've been through and the most vulnerable parts of myself. I need to know that there's going to be a lack of judgment, and I need to know that you're in my corner. And so I think that's the other thing, is that because they have so much money, they probably will go to, like, therapists that are, like, super Ivy League, and, like, they have their clientele is, like, the best, people with a lot of money. But that doesn't mean that they're going to be the best therapeutic relationship for you to get the help that you need. And I don't know if there is a therapist or any type of counselor to the stars that isn't in it for, like, oh my god, and then I saw this person and you wouldn't believe what they said. So now, I'm not, because you're not supposed to talk about stuff like that, right? But people, just because there are HIPAA laws doesn't mean that people don't violate them. People violate them all the time. In school, I was in the study hall, and I'm trying to study, and there's this lady behind me, and she opens up her camera, and that area should be the quiet section because there's multiple study halls. So, but that should be the quiet section, and she's behind there and she's having a therapeutic counseling session, and everybody can hear what is being said. She broke so many HIPAA laws, and I was like, that is ridiculous. And I was like, I wanted to say something, but I was like, I know I'm gonna come off real hot and heavy, I'm gonna, now I feel like I've done a lot of work to handle my anger, and I would have just tapped her on the shoulder and be like, hey, maybe you should go to a different room. We don't need to be hearing what she's talking about. What are we doing here? So people violate HIPAA laws all the time, and I would assume that there's probably therapists to the stars that would, well, let me tell you, I got this tea you wouldn't believe, da 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 da, you know. And so it's sad. Like, I don't know. It's really sad, and I would hope that he gets the help that he needs. And not only does he have to contend with all the stuff that was done to him, being a new father, having his, and I'm sure that him being a new father has helped brought this along. One, babies are very stressful. They're lovely little cherub faces, but they're incredibly stressful. But I'm sure too, and actually I'm not sure, it could go either way. Maybe he feels a disconnect from his son because his trauma, or maybe he feels all this love, and he's starting to contend with the fact that maybe he feels all this love for his baby, and he's like, I would never hurt you. And now he's starting to contend with the fact and having to fully accept, I was hurt and people failed me, and the people that should have done right by me didn't. And that's very, very hard to deal with. And then the fact that it's for an industry that's dying. We're seeing everybody fall. We're seeing all these accusations and abuses come out. I don't even know if he's creating new music or if he's doing anything with his life. And then the other thing too, he's reached like the pinnacle of fame and fortune. So it's like, is it also like, what else is there to do? I did all of this for that, and look at how empty and hollow and sad and broken I am. I don't know. It's just, it's one of those things, right? Sometimes I get very frustrated with myself because I feel like I'm very behind. I am a huge late bloomer when it comes to certain things because a big chunk of my life was spent on recovering from a mental illness, from depression, from anxiety, from suicidal thoughts. Things got real dark. Things got real dark. And, I didn't go through what Justin went through, but I went through issues. There were issues in my childhood. There were just people that I encountered. I really had to figure all that stuff out, and I still am. Right, recovery is forever. It's for the rest of your life. But I just looking at myself. I'm very grateful that even though my childhood wasn't perfect, and there was never a lack of love. It was just issues with family dynamics, issues with past trauma, generational trauma, lack of skill sets. A lot of things can be broken down to lack of skill sets, lack of communication, lack of emotional regulation, a lot of things like that, right? I'm very grateful that I was loved enough to never be pushed into the spotlight, that I wasn't used to be a breadwinner for my family. That causes so much damage to a child. And it's so unfair, and I'm sure so many of us, it shows you how all that glitters is not gold, right? I'm sure so many people, like, who wouldn't want a chunk of his fortune, just especially with inflation, with how things are going. And I'm sure, I'm assuming that Justin has had moments where he's like, I would have rather have had a normal childhood. And maybe he's not there yet, because it takes a lot. I have no idea what point he's at. He might be at the point where he's just recognizing that things are messed up. I don't know if he's gotten to the point where he's able to say the quiet part out loud, but it's one of those things. It's like, all right, I I guess I'm okay with being a late bloomer and trying to figure this out and trying to figure this out at this stage of my life, and figuring out how I make my money, because it's not worth it to lose your soul or to lose your childhood in the process. And it's really really sad, because I didn't watch the video. I saw the stills of him where he's like looking off to the side and he just looks so out of it. And I just kept picturing him as the little kid with his full bangs and just like this little cherub face. And I'm just like, this is awful. This is really really awful. And it's that thing, we as a society, we are so dishonest and disingenuous about the hurt and the pain that we cause each other. It's just, it's so much is so fake and phony. And that's why too, sometimes, I feel that I'm very behind in my life. And there was a moment where I started to feel bad, and it honestly didn't last that long, because I was like, I don't have XYZ. I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out. And it was like, X, Y, and Z are meaningless unless you put the appropriate care, love, and attention to it. You know what I mean? Like, in my mindfulness class at school, we talked about this, and there are some people in 25 years old and they're feeling it. Some people later 20s, like, it's like, I should have this and I should have this and I should have this by now. The people around me have this, why don't I have this? And those feelings of inadequacy. And I told him my age. I'm like, girl, I was doing other things. Does that mean that the rest of my life was not valuable? No, I've done other things. It's just a lot of the things I've done have been intangible. But I told my class, and I was like, listen, all right, for the people who are like, because I'm not married and I don't have kids and I don't have the house, and I'm in that same boat. You know who was married and had the kids and had the house? Ted Bundy. Okay, Ted Bundy. The man that was off on the side killing all these women. Ted Bundy. The house, the wife, and the children meant nothing. And I don't mean this in the way that to be rude to those little kids or to his wife. Little kids are precious. A marriage is precious, but it's as precious as you make it. This dude, he made it so his family. What was the worth? He failed them. He failed them. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. It's not that was meaningless. He didn't put the correct love and care into it, and he became just like worthless. And so then, well, I actually no, because then those children, they couldn't be with him because of his actions. His wife couldn't be with him anymore. They had to go and create their own family and create something that was worthwhile and something that was meaningful and beautiful. And I hope that they were able to do that, and I hope his children were able to do that. They've got to be, they're in their 50s now. They're older now. They're probably grandparents now, and I hope that they were able to create something lovely and beautiful. But look at Justin Bieber. He's married with a young child. He has all this fortune. He has fame. What does it mean? What does it mean if he's not mentally well enough to enjoy it? What does it mean if he's suffering so much? It loses its meaning, and it's not that his wife doesn't have value or his children doesn't have value. I'm just saying he can't say, I have all these things, because he's so lost and he's so broken and fractured. And that's really sad. And I'm sure that we've all known people like that, and it's not trying to judge. It's just the reality, right? What's black is black, what's white is white sometimes. Yes, there's a lot of gray, there's a lot of nuance in life, but sometimes call a spade a spade. And there have been people that we've gone to school with who have gotten married, who've had kids young, and then you talk to them and they're like, I'm not happy, because they didn't let themselves simmer. Sometimes you have to remind yourself, you're a bouillabaisse, okay? You are a nice hearty stew. And you gotta let that simmer. You gotta, okay, then now you're gonna throw in the beef. Okay, it's not ready. Okay, now we're gonna throw in some Yukon potatoes. Okay, oh, you know what? Now we're gonna throw in a little bit of red wine, but the red wine, you gotta really let that simmer because the alcohol has to burn off. You know what I mean? And those ingredients are the experiences. All the experiences, all the skills that you're building, the knowledge that you're building. That's what you're doing. And so it's okay. It's okay. Tomorrow's not promised. There are people, babies, and it isn't fair. And they don't get to grow up. You know, it isn't fair. There are young people who they don't get to experience certain things in life. You're one of the lucky few. You're still around, you're one of the lucky few. And this is, I'm also talking to myself too. How dare I start to, oh my God, I don't have this, I don't have this. Okay. Let yourself simmer, figure it out. And I love what my therapist says, keep showing up. Keep showing up. That's all you can do in life. Keep showing up, and things will keep happening. And that's it, you know? Because it's so sad, man. It's so sad. It's awful, you know? Because that, and we were taught to aspire to that. We're taught to aspire to have fame. We were taught to aspire to have great fortune. How many people, especially child stars, are we seeing that are so completely broken and fractured and lost? It is now, if you see somebody who was a child star and isn't broken and isn't fractured, it's like, oh my God, you know? Brett Cooper is an example. Regardless of how you feel about her politics, whatever her views are, that's her, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. You're entitled to your opinion about her. I did watch that segment where she talked about being a child actor, and she talked about how fiercely her mom protected her, you know, that's my mom did that to me. We did swimming classes and we did dance classes. And my mom was always there, you know, just she was always around. My dad was around, you know what I mean? Just making sure that we were protected and that there wasn't any person that was gonna try to take advantage of us, you know? And Brett Cooper said that her mom did the same for her. She wasn't allowed. And then the one time Brett's mom let her go, Brett's mom wasn't with her. She was entrusted to the care of another parent, someone that was a family friend. And that mother, the two girls were going to meet with like a director, a manager. They were going to meet with somebody. And the mother leaves them alone. And that guy is like hitting on the girls. They're 15. And he puts his hand in the back pocket of one of the girl that isn't Brett. Then Brett tells her mom. Brett's mom calls that mom. And she's like, well, it is what it is, right? They're going to get apart. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Like, you're basically prostituting your child for fame and fortune. You are broken. You are broken. You are a broken, lost individual. And that's something that bothers me about people. That's something that bothers me with the stigma and how people with mental illness are treated. A lot of people with mental illness and people who are in psych wards, it's because other people hurt them. Yes, sometimes you will have people with certain diagnoses that make them a threat to themselves and others. That does happen. But what is more common and what is a known statistic is people with mental illnesses are more likely to be victims of physical, sexual, emotional, mental abuse. That's the statistic. They are not perpetrators. They are, more often than not, staggering, they are the victims. And when you look at people with mental illnesses, I used to have to read psych evals. And in the beginning, I struggled. I would just sit at my desk and cry because there would be all the different types of abuse that you can imagine would be there. Oh, it is insane to me. It is insane to me that we expect people who have been abused to just dust it off, to have been mistreated as children, to have seen the coldness and the callousness of humans and of society. Dust it off. Why? You're not in school? You're on a street corner, getting high and drinking? Why? Why would you think? They have seen the worst that society has had to offer them. And this is the thing. It's not just, you're seeing the other side of it with Justin Bieber. There's one that's entrenched in poverty. There's another one that's entrenched in fame and fortune, and the outcomes are still the same. Broken people, people that don't know how to manage themselves, people that don't know how to feel like themselves because of the mistreatment and the abuse of others. That's what bothers me. It bothers me because I viewed mental illness, because I've gone to an outpatient program, and I was like, oh, it's the Broken Hearts Brigade. And then, there was someone there who was a war vet. There was someone who had lost an in-law who was more of a parent to her than her own parents. Everywhere you looked, right? And it's interesting to me, the people that cause this damage, the true people who are like, oh, you are sick, they're not behind bars. They're not in the psych wards. No, it's always the victims. It's always the victims. And that's the thing that's bothersome. And we've seen it in so many different ways. We've seen it with the Catholic Church, when they knew about the priests that were touching kids, and they would just, oh, okay, well, we'll just move you to Sacramento. Oh, no, you touched another one? Okay. Wisconsin? Milwaukee this time. We've seen it with Penn State, with Sandusky, I believe, with the football. Football's way more important. It's more important than your well-being, and it's stupidity. It's stupidity. We as a society, we are made up of each other. So if we are broken and fractured, if we are constantly making excuses for abusers, and we're saying that these institutions mean more than actual human people, we're lost. We're broken. We're fractured. How can we surprise? And it's so many reasons of why culture and society is what it is today. But that's a big part of it. It's gross. So that's something that's always made me angry, and it's really sad. It's really sad, and it shows you, like, this truly, if it really does feel like Community's the darkest timeline. I loved Community. It was a great show. But that's what it feels like. This is the darkest timeline. Everybody is falling. Everybody is kind of losing it. Everybody is struggling, and it's really sad to watch. And I know that a lot of these videos are gonna be like, damn, like you sound depressed, but I think I really do believe in healing. I really do believe in the light at the end of the tunnel, right? I feel like society right now is like Andy Dufresne, and we're crawling through the shit tunnel in Shawshank Redemption. It's like we're all just trying to get to Cancun, and I think we probably have to check our morals and values, and we have to check how we interact with each other. I think that's the thing, is like, when I go online, I saw something online recently, and they were like talking about Dr. Seuss and Roald Dahl, and like, all their transgressions. I don't care. I'm here for the art. I'm here for the Cat in the Hat. I'm here for green eggs and ham. I'm here for Matilda. I'm here for Danny DeVito's direction of it, where he made. I love Danny DeVito so much that I don't ever want to hear something bad. I will, no. But the scene where, like, the little girl, she's like pulled around in her pigtails, and they showed behind the scenes, and it was like, are you okay? Are you good? And she's like having the time of her life, and they're like, when you want to stop, we'll stop. Are you okay? Everyone is just making sure to take care of the children, and knock on wood, haven't heard, like, I had a bad experience. The fact that Danny DeVito took in Mara Wilson, whose mother was dying of cancer, and they made sure that she watched the movie before she passed away. Like, We need more of that. That needs to be celebrated. That needs to be put on a spotlight. And we need to hold ourselves accountable. And yeah, and I know sometimes I may seem very negative, but hope springs eternal. And I really, I think a big part with society is that, and I know we've had the Me Too movement, and I think the problem with society is we're always over or under, right? We just go to extremes. And I think it was very important. And yes, Me Too people need to be called out. And but but I think that there's still pockets of people that aren't called out, and the reality is too, you there are some people that truly is like, you need to be in jail. You don't need to be a part of society. You are truly grotesque. But then there's a lot of people, look at our families or our friendships, where it's like, do they really need to be written off? Do they really need to be taken out of the picture and no contact? Or is it something through therapy and through conversations, hard conversations, and new behaviors and new habits, is it something that could be repaired and fixed, right? And I do think for certain things, yeah, I think for certain things where love is present, but there was like fear or a lack of skill set or a lack of knowledge, I do think that things can be fixed and things can be brought to the surface and brought to light, and there could be new, stronger bonds created. And then there are other times where I'm like, yeah, I think no contact is appropriate. So it's hard. Being a human is hard. Navigating through all the ways that we mistreat each other is very hard. Compassion, empathy, love, kindness, these are skill sets. Nobody is born with the same level of skill, and they can always be improved upon. With my psych rehab degree, I have an associate's. I'm getting my bachelor's in May. With my associates, I had to take a communications class. And I walked into that class cocky. I walked into it so cocky. I was like, man, I'm great at communicating. And within like a couple weeks, I was like, oof. I was probably like the first two classes, I was humbled. I was like, oof. I could probably work on my communication skills. We all can. We can always be better. And all of our hands are dirty. All of our hands are dirty in the terms of society and where it is. There are other people who are definitely held more responsible. In the case of Justin Bieber, parents, managers. I really don't want to know what Diddy did to him. It's weird. All of the people that bypassed that, all of the people that were older and like hitting on him when he was just a kid, all of y'all, all of y'all. The same way with Britney, a lot of people's hands were dirty. Same with Justin Bieber, you know. And it's very easy to get got in a culture. It's very easy to lose your morals, values, and ethics, and it's something that we have to hold ourselves accountable, and we have to privately decide what that is, and we have to make sure that we're reacting to that. Just because the culture is what it is doesn't mean that we have to actively participate in it. Doesn't mean that we have to let it change us. I had a job, and me and the supervisor, we butt heads, and it's funny. He was Puerto Rican. For some reason, a lot of Puerto Rican men, I butt heads. It's clash of egos, clash of titans. I don't know what it is. And we were having a discussion. He's like, "Well, everyone else agrees with me, so that means it's right." And I'm looking at, I'm like, "Oh yeah." Like, because lynch mob mentality is not a thing. That doesn't mean anything. That does not mean anything, you know? And I don't know. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. And I don't know when it comes to Justin Bieber. It's sad. How many child stars are we going to see in the same boat? How many of them are we going to see like struggling to navigate through adulthood? It's awful. Um And yeah, I just hope he gets the help that he needs, and I hope everyone who watches this video, or anyone out there, I just hope that everyone finds the tools and resources for their recovery, and I just hope that we can all contribute to a better loving world, and not this fake ass um, PR BS that we've created that exists in virtual reality but doesn't exist outside of that. So I'll talk to you guys later.